Hello, it's Samuela here, and today we'll be talking about TikTok funny versus IRL funny, and if it's the same. If you are funny in real life, do you have exactly what it takes to be funny in TikTok? What are some of the nuanced differences that might go into it? So let's get into the presentation. So expanding on the topic of last time, the titular question of you are so funny, you just started TikTok, but will that actually work? If you were so funny in real life, are you actually going to be able to have a successful TikTok career? Are they the same types of funny? And I'm here to tell you that no, they're actually not the same different types of funny, because we're expanding on the concept of being funny in regular speech, IRL, and social media speech, and in this case, TikTok. But first we're going to go on to the topics of last presentation, which was discourse, frames, race, and AABE. Okay. To recap discourse, I talked about discourse in the context of certain phrases that one would expect to see in TikTok. This is often referred to as brain rot speech. Because it stays on TikTok, you're not really likely to see it off TikTok. You're not supposed to see it off TikTok. It's kind of like in millennials when they often use LOL, but if someone were to say lol in real life, you're kind of just like, okay, like maybe like keep that to text speak, similar TikTok brain rock speak. If someone's constantly speaking in memes, if someone's constantly being like 6'7", you know, you kind of look at them weird because you're kind of breaking something, kind of breaking an unspoken rule. And next, we're going to be talking about frames. I talked about frames in the context of the hook. It is kind of expected that viewers are going to get a 3 to 4 second attention grabber in order for them to continue watching. Because you need to say something very outrageous, or maybe you're talking really loud and you're really getting people's attentions. And it's kind of expected that if you break that, you're kind of breaking the rules of TikTok, and you shouldn't expect to get many views. You shouldn't expect to be successful because you're not successfully adhering to the framing of TikTok. Again, I talked about race, and I talked about race in the context of the ones that are predominantly dominating the trends tend to be white creators. However, the ones that tend to be more behind the scenes, the ones that are actually creating most of the trends, tend to be Black and just generally POC creators, and how that is not on accident at all. It directly correlates how society is ran. And then I talked about AAVE. Many of the popular TikTok slang is actually just repackaged AAVE. Because suddenly it's popular when the general public, white people are saying it, but when the Black people were the ones that were just originally saying it, it's suddenly ghetto or uneducated. Now for the new concepts, we're going to be talking about poetics and performance. I'm going to be doing poetics. Poetics is a language is patterned. It is how the speaker frames their speech, and it is whether it can be rhythm, it could be metaphor, it can be pacing. This is not really TikTok, but an example of rhythm. For example, Shakespeare often spoke in iambic pentameter in his speeches. So you kind of, the kind of pattern of how to read it can be paced, because he loved to use iambic pentameter, which is 10. And then pacing, often that is very indicative of a certain TikTok creators. Certain TikTok creators speak very fast, and that can be their own attention grabber, because, oh my God, they're speaking so fast, and you have to really be paying attention, because how do you know what they're saying? You have to really be paying attention, because when someone's speaking very fast, you can't really just be dozing off and doing other things, because what are they saying? This all starts to jumble in your head like that. Or someone is speaking very slow, and you really gotta pay attention because your brain is not really wired to understand things this slow, because this is not the normal pacing in which people usually speak. So you're like, wait, what are they saying? You can't really be doing anything else, or else you suddenly are missing half of what they're saying. Or when people like this are speaking in the normal speech, you can oftentimes do other things. You can be cooking, you can be cleaning, heck, you can even be walking somewhere, because this is the normal pace in which people tend to speak, so you're able to do other things while still understanding what they're saying. Things like that, the kind of patterns that in which you use as a creator can really signify you from the rest. An example I'm using is this creator that I love called Jules. The way that she has her phrasing, she has this one word that she speaks, demure, that kind of became a part of her personal brand, and it's something that is very identifiable and that is very her, because when you are a TikToker with poetics, you need to have kind of like a certain brand, have a certain pattern of phrases that you say in order to separate you from the rest. So the first video I'm showing is a video she made when she blew up last year, over a year ago.
You see how I do my makeup for work? very demure, very mindful. I don't come to work with a green cut crease. I don't look like a clown when I go to work. I don't do too much. I'm very mindful while I'm at work. See how I look very presentable? The way I came to the interview is the way I go to the job. A lot of you girls go to the interview looking like Marge Simpson and go to the job looking like Patty and Selma. Not demure. I'm very modest. I'm very mindful. You see my shirt? Only a little chichi out, not my chocho. Be mindful of why they hired you. Here's your reality check, diva. What's the name you'd like me to make it out to?
And so the next video is one that's actually very recent. It was posted within the last week, and I'm doing this to show that she has kept her personal brand. The way that she says very demure, very mindful, very cutesy, very sweetsy, even the rhythm in which she speaks. You see how I do this? I'm not like these other girls. I'm doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm not being too crazy. I'm doing da-da-da-da. It's very her.
You see how I do a very demure shirt?
Very demure.
Some girls in my comments like, babe, pack it up. No one wants the damn shirts. Listen, I might need a lint roller, but you need this damn shirt. It's very cutesy. It's very mindful. It's...
Okay, and so the next section I'm talking about an interview that I had done with my sister. Basically, I had talked about poetics, and I had asked her, have you ever noticed poetics on TikTok? Because she's also a creator. And she basically says how the words can feel like it can become your own brand, and it kind of is a way to connect you and your audience. And I was basically agreeing with her, and I was talking to her about how it's similar to sister kind of being synonymized with James Charles, demure being synonymized with Jules, and that's kind of phrasing in which they often use because it's become a part of their brand that people expect, and they can't just abandon it now. And then I asked her, do you think that it is possible to survive without employing poetics in TikTok? And she basically went on to say that yes, however, it's much harder because your audience needs to be able to almost anticipate kind of what you're saying and anticipate kind of what your video is going to be about. And she goes on to expand how it's more than just simply being like a couple words. It can also be kind of like your brand as a whole, which can impact like what your video is going to be about. And she goes on to reference my TikTok videos that I mentioned in my last presentation about how I'm someone who is always talks about TV shows. My audience knows that if they go to a video of mine that I'm going to be talking about TV shows, I rarely deviate from that. So it's kind of like my brand, my pattern needs to be able to be recognized in order to separate from having an audience versus having an actual community. Next, we're talking about performance, and performance is a mode of speaking. It shows that your words cause people to do things. In the context of TikTok, we often see this in the TikTok shop with run, don't walk, or I cannot live without this. And it causes the listener to feel like they have to buy in to what the creator is saying. So today, I'm going to be watching you a TikTok shop video.
Atención familia, si tienen esa llanita rebelde como yo, no se pierdan esto. No te preocupes, la ropa interior de Meditimen te tiene cubierto. Es transpirable y súper elástica. Vamos a probarlo. Se encarga de esto y esto. Hermanos, tienes los mismos problemas que yo, de verdad necesitas esto. Esta faja de Meditimen de verdad lo tiene todo. ¿Y sabes qué? Ahora está en un 50% de descuento. Corra por la tuya.
I chose this video very specifically because, as you can see, it's in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, but it almost feels like I know exactly what he's trying to convey. You can talk about how the flashy images with him smacking his butt and starting with his shapewear, because he's clearly trying to, sell shapewear for men and is really using, like, language that really draws you in. And then also you can see on text, it says limited time flash sale, buy now, with the constant arrow throughout the whole video. He's speaking in a way that really makes you want to buy it. He's really showing you that if you really want to be on TikTok and be successful, you need to have and speak in ways in which that makes people actually want to do things and act upon the things that you say. Next, to end this presentation, I'm going to talk about an interview that I had with my friend about TikTok shop. I was asking her, why do you buy like so much stuff off a TikTok shop? It's like, that these prices are not really any different from the way that they are on Amazon. And then she talks about how she often does not intend to buy things, but like she'll just watch things on the FYP and they just suck her in. And I'm just like, how do you accidentally buy it? Do you just like, oops, it's in my cart and now I bought it? And again, she talks about how she's scrolling, but like the ways in which that people are talking, the ways in which people are performing, the rhetoric that they're using, it just draws her in. It makes her feel like she needs to buy this thing. That if she doesn't buy it, she's not she's not gonna be in the know. Like, she just has to buy it because these TikTokers' words have sway. They actually mean something. They make her get up, do it, buy money that she wasn't even intending to spend. And so I just absolutely was like, are you just easily influenced? And she was like, again, like, that's not it. It's the ways in which that they're speaking, the words that they're saying, how they're saying it, just really is convincing. So thank you for my presentation.